I thought I had everything figured out. My husband, Ethan, and I had been married for 6 years, and honestly, we were solid. Sure, we had our moments like any couple, but we always worked through them. I was 21 when I fell for him, and by the time I turned 27, I could not imagine my life without him. Everything felt right until about 8 months ago when my younger sister, Madison, came back to town. She had been living down in Florida since she turned 18, almost a decade ago. Her long term boyfriend had just dumped her, and she came home completely broke. Madison told everyone he had been cheating on her with men, which seemed really strange to me. I had only met the guy a handful of times, maybe 3 or 4, and he just did not seem like someone who would live a double life like that. I tried reaching out to him once to get the real story, but I found out he had blocked me. So I just dropped it and let Madison tell whatever version of events she wanted. Madison moved back in with our parents, Susan and Robert. Susan is 55 and Robert is 56. For the first few weeks, Madison struggled to find any work. That is when I made what would turn out to be the biggest mistake of my life. I suggested that maybe Ethan could help her get a job. He worked as a senior manager at his company, so I figured he had some connections. Ethan came through, and Madison ended up getting a position in his department doing work in her field. I thought I was being a good sister. Looking back now, I should have known better. Madison and I have never been close. Growing up, she was always the golden child, at least in our mother's eyes. Our father just went along with whatever mom said. It wasn't super obvious, but there were a million little things that added up over the years. When we both turned 16, we each got cars. Mine was an 8-year-old Dodge Neon that barely ran. Madison got a 2-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse that was practically brand new. Madison did competitive dance, and my parents spent thousands and thousands of dollars on her costumes, practices, and competitions. Some of those competitions were 6 or 7 hours away, and they never even blinked about the cost or the travel. Meanwhile, when I asked for $50 to go to a volleyball or basketball camp at the local college right in our town, they acted like I was asking them to build me my own sports arena. The thing that made me the angriest was when I was 17. I was out with my boyfriend one night, totally lost track of time, and I came home 15 minutes past my curfew. 15 minutes! My parents took my car away for an entire month. The very next year, Madison came home 2 hours late and smelled like marijuana. All she got was a stern talking to. I was not exactly sad when she left for college and decided to stay in Florida after graduation. Despite our distant relationship, Madison started spending more and more time at our house after she got the job. At first, I thought maybe she was finally making an effort to be closer to me. Maybe she wanted to repair our relationship. Then I started noticing things. Madison and Ethan were getting way too comfortable with each other. They would talk for hours about seemingly everything and anything. They developed their own inside jokes. Whenever I tried to join in on their conversations, they would brush me off and say it was just a work thing. When I asked Ethan about it directly, he told me they just had a lot in common and were working on several big projects together at the office. I wanted to believe him. I really did. The first major red flag appeared after about a month of this new dynamic. Ethan and I have always had different work schedules. He works a traditional 8 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon shift. I work 10 in the morning to 7 at night. So there were a few hours every day when Ethan was home and I was still at work. I started coming home to find Madison already there. This happened a lot. When I would ask why she was there, I always got the same answer. We had some work stuff to finish up, Ethan would say. Madison and I were just going over some reports, he would tell me. It happened so often that I started to feel like a stranger in my own home. Then, about 2 months ago, something happened that made me question my own sanity. I make our bed every single morning before I leave for work. I always arrange the pillows the same exact way, with the open side of the pillowcase facing toward the edge of the bed. It is just the habit I have. Madison had been over that particular day. When I got home, we all ate dinner together, and then she went back to my parents' house. That night, as Ethan and I were getting ready for bed, I noticed something. Two of the pillows were wrong. The pillowcases were turned so the open sides were facing toward the middle of the bed, not the edges like I always arrange them. I asked Ethan if he had been in bed during the day. He looked shocked for a second, but then he said, "No. Why are you asking?" he said. I told him the bed was not the same as how I had made it that morning. He looked at me like I was crazy. "You must be mistaken," he said. "Nobody was in the bed today." I felt like I was losing my mind. I started going through his phone and his laptop when he was not looking, searching for any evidence. I found nothing. But then again, they worked together 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then hung out after work. Why would they even need to text each other? Everything felt wrong, but I had no proof. 2 weeks ago, my parents invited us over for dinner. Things were going fine until I saw something that made my blood run cold. Ethan was walking by, and Madison lightly grabbed his arm. He turned toward her, and she whispered something in his ear. Then they touched foreheads together. It only lasted a second. Ethan jolted up and kept walking. Madison just looked at me, smiled this creepy little smile, and went back to what she was doing like nothing had happened. I am not an idiot. I knew what I was seeing. I just did not want to believe it. I had been in love with Ethan since I was 21 years old. He was my everything. I planned a weekend getaway for just the two of us in the city. I was going to ask him about everything there. I really hoped I was wrong. I hoped it was all in my head. That Friday night was actually nice. We had drinks, we danced, we were intimate. Saturday morning, we had more activities planned, and I almost chickened out. I almost did not say anything at all. I really thought that he could not possibly be doing those things with her and still be doing this with me. But I was so wrong. We were getting ready to head out for the day when I just blurted it out. "Are you having an affair with my sister?" I said. Ethan's eyes filled with tears immediately. "Yes," he said quietly, "I am." My heart shattered into a million pieces right there. "Why?" I asked him. "I am so sorry," he said. "I did not mean for this to happen. Madison and I just clicked, and before I knew it, we were kissing, and then it became more." I asked him if he had been sleeping with my sister in our bed, in our home, before I got home from work each day. He just turned his head away in shame. That told me everything I needed to know. I grabbed my purse and left. I did not have anything else with me, but I did not care. I drove home without him. Ethan got an Uber and showed up a few hours later with the rest of my things. He tried to apologize, but I did not even look at him. I just cried. Through my tears, I watched him pack a bag and leave for a hotel. The next day, I called my parents to tell them what had happened. They already knew. They said they were sorry about the situation and told me that Madison had left the night before and might not be back for a few days. I knew exactly where she was. She was with Ethan. That all happened 3 months ago. Our divorce is almost finalized now. Ethan found an apartment to rent right away, and Madison moved in with him immediately. I am only contacting Ethan about divorce-related matters. At first, he said I could just have the house and the savings account. I think that was guilt talking. Then, after a few days, he changed his mind and said we would have to split the house. I know that was Madison whispering in his ear, convincing him to take more from me. I had already moved all the money out of our joint savings into a new account, so there was no fight about that. Just like that, 9 years of my life were completely gone. Ethan has no idea what he is getting himself into. Madison is a narcissist, and she will throw him away eventually, just like she does with everyone. Madison has been incredibly cruel through all of this. A few days after I found out about the affair, she tagged me in a Facebook post. It was a selfie of her and Ethan, with him kissing her on the cheek from behind. The caption said, "Feeling loved," with a bunch of heart emojis. It was disgusting. I immediately logged out of my Facebook account and deleted the app from my phone. About an hour after that post, Madison texted me. "Sorry, Cess, did not mean to tag you," she said. "No hard feelings, I hope. I hope we can still be close. You will meet your soulmate someday, too." I blocked her immediately. I blocked her on every single platform I could think of. My parents have not been any better than Madison. They pretended to be sympathetic at first. When I told them I was going completely no contact with both Madison and Ethan, my mother looked at me with this cold expression. "I am sorry this happened," she said. "It should not have happened this way, but your sister deserves to be happy too. You will meet someone new, and then we can all put this behind us." I got really upset and told them about the Facebook post and the cruel text Madison had sent me. "Well, you should not be on that stuff anyway," my mother said dismissively. My father has not said a single word this entire time. He just sits there like a statue. I asked him once what he thought about the whole situation. "I agree with your mother," he said, and then he walked out of the room. I went full no contact with my parents as well as Madison and Ethan. The house sold soon after that, and I moved to a completely different state. I did not tell any of my so-called family where I was going or when I was leaving. I did not tell them my plan at all. I just disappeared from their lives like they had disappeared from mine emotionally years ago. I am done with all of them. I genuinely wish them the worst. Fast forward 4 years, I am doing so much better now. I am recently engaged to an amazing man named Derek. He is 37 years old. It took a lot of therapy to get myself back out there and open my heart again. I tried dating pretty soon after I moved to Minnesota, but my first date was a disaster. The guy seemed okay at first, but then he showed me just how much of an insufferable jerk he really was. I swore off men completely after that. That is when I started therapy to process all the trauma from the betrayal by Ethan and Madison, as well as the emotional abandonment by my parents. It was a really hard year of healing. But then I met Derek. Derek is wonderful. He is a chef, and he and his fraternal twin brother, Nathan, own a restaurant and bar together. The business is doing incredibly well. I am so excited to start building a real future with Derek. Now, let me tell you about the absolute audacity my former family had. About 9 months after I moved away and went completely no contact, I came home to my apartment one day and found a wedding invitation in my mailbox. It was for the wedding of Ethan and Madison. The invitation included this gross photo of them hugging in a sunflower field. There was also a letter from my parents. It basically said I needed to forgive everyone and put all this behind us. They said they knew things did not go the best, but we were a family, and families work through problems together. Then, and this is the part that made me want to scream, they said Madison wanted me to be a bridesmaid in her wedding, just like she had been in mine. What the actual hell? That letter reopened all sorts of old wounds. My therapist definitely got a lot more business because of it. Today, I can laugh about it, but back then, it was devastating. I did not respond to the invitation or the letter at all. The only thing I did was figure out which member of my extended family had given my former family my new address, and I cut them off too. That brings me to the most recent drama. Last week, Ethan showed up at my apartment. Derek and I are not living together yet, but that is changing soon. Ethan looked way too good, like he had spent hours getting ready just to come see me. "What do you want?" I said. "I just want to talk," he said. "I am so sorry for what I did. Madison and I are getting divorced. I found out she was cheating on me our entire marriage. Surprise, surprise. I do not expect you to take me back, but I think we should talk and get some closure for both of our sakes." I just stared at him in disbelief. He had completely lost his mind. I looked him directly in the eyes. "No," I said. "I am not giving you any closure. You made your own bed. Did you really think that woman who has had more visitors than a Holiday Inn was suddenly going to close up shop just because you put a ring on her finger? You are even dumber than I thought. I forgive nothing. I want nothing from you. I do not care about you at all. I am better off now, and that will always be the case. You can go straight to hell." I turned around and went back into my apartment, locking the door behind me. I immediately called my landlady, who is the sweetest old woman in the world. I have gotten pretty close to her over these 4 years, and she knows all about my previous marriage. Ethan was still just standing out in the hallway. A few minutes later, her two nephews, who help maintain the apartment building, showed up. They let Ethan know he was not welcome there and was now on a banned list. If he returned, the police would be called for trespassing. I thought that would be the end of it, but it was not. I have a pretty easy 9 to 5 work schedule now, so I go to Derek's restaurant almost every night he is managing. I do not get in the way, I just hang out and enjoy the few minutes here and there he can spend with me. I have become good friends with a lot of the staff, which includes a lot of Derek and Nathan's family members. It is the real family environment I always wished I had growing up. I was there the next night when Ethan walked in and sat down at my table like he had every right to be there. Derek noticed immediately and came over to check on me. He recognized Ethan from photos I had shown him. Ethan stuck his hand out to shake Derek's hand. Derek just looked at it and then asked me, "Do you want me to kick him out?" I said, "Not yet. I have a question or two first." Ethan perked up like he thought he was winning something. What a complete tool. I asked him to tell me what had happened between him and Madison. It was pure morbid curiosity on my part. He told us Madison had been having at least 2 affairs with married men. Old habits die hard, I guess. This was about 2 years into their marriage. "It was a tough time for me," Ethan said. I rolled my eyes. "You are not that dumb, though," I said. "Did you protect yourself in the divorce, or did she get half of all your stuff?" Ethan replied smugly, "I stuck it out almost another year with her so I could start hiding away savings and selling off some assets. In the end, she got a fraction of what she would have gotten otherwise." I asked, "And what happened to her after the divorce?" Ethan said, "She had to move back in with your parents again." I smiled with satisfaction. "Yes, thank you," I said. "That is exactly what I wanted to hear. You can leave now." Derek stood up. "You heard her," he said. "Get out of my restaurant." Ethan tried to protest. "But wait, I just wanna—" "No," I said firmly. "No forgiveness, no closure. I just wanted to know that my loser sister was back living at home where she belongs. Now get out." Derek pointed at the door. Ethan looked around and saw he was being glared at by the bartender and 2 members of the waitstaff. He stood up, tucked his tail between his legs, and headed toward the door. Derek called after him, "And if you ever come back here—" Ethan quickly said, Yeah, I know. Cops, trespassing, I get it." After he left, I got checked on by almost everyone in the restaurant. It was sweet, but also a little embarrassing. Looking back on everything that happened, I learned some incredibly valuable lessons that I hope can help others who might be going through something similar. First, trust your instincts. When something feels off, it probably is. I ignored so many red flags because I did not want to believe the person I loved could betray me that deeply. The pillows out of place, the inside jokes, the excessive time spent together, all of it was screaming the truth at me, but I was too afraid to listen. Second, do not let anyone gaslight you into thinking you are crazy. Ethan made me doubt my own perception of reality, and that was almost as damaging as the affair itself. Your feelings are valid, and if something does not feel right, you deserve answers. Third, family is not just about blood. My real family now is Derek, his twin brother Nathan, their parents, and all the people at the restaurant who showed me more love and protection in one night than my biological family showed me in years. You can create your own family with people who actually value you. Fourth, going no contact with toxic people is not cruel, it is self-preservation. My parents chose Madison over me repeatedly, and cutting them out of my life was the healthiest decision I ever made. You do not owe anyone access to your life, especially people who have hurt you. Finally, karma is real, and justice does come around eventually. Madison ended up right back where she started, living with our parents and dealing with the consequences of her actions. Ethan lost everything he thought mattered, And me? I found genuine happiness with someone who treats me the way I always deserve to be treated. My advice to anyone going through betrayal like this is simple. Get therapy, cut off the toxic people, move forward with your life, and never look back. You deserve so much better than people who would treat you this way. Build a life that is so full of genuine love and happiness that your past becomes nothing more than a distant memory. That is exactly what I did, and I have never been happier.